It started as just another evening in the heart of downtown. A black woman in her mid-30s parked her sleek, dark blue BMW outside an upscale restaurant, stepping out in a fitted navy blue blazer and matching pencil skirt. Her heels clicked confidently against the pavement as she locked the car and disappeared inside. To any passerby, she was just another professional enjoying a late dinner after a long day. But that night, she was about to become the center of a scandal that no one, especially not the police, was ready for. An hour later, while she sipped her drink inside the restaurant, a pair of white police officers circled her car. Their body language was tense, aggressive. A third officer arrived, tapping his radio, glancing up and down the street. To them, the vehicle was suspicious. Dark-tinted windows, high-end rims, and a luxury brand parked in an area they didn't think it belonged. One officer ran the plates, his brows furrowed. Nothing came up. That was the first red flag. Then, things escalated fast. One of them radioed in a possible stolen vehicle. The dispatcher hesitated. There was no report of it being stolen. But that didn't stop them. Within minutes, they popped the trunk, rummaging through her belongings. A laptop bag, a leather briefcase, a set of neatly organized legal documents. Then, they moved to the inside of the car. And that's when the panic started. One officer rifled through the glove compartment, pulling out a black leather folder. His fingers flipped through the contents, then froze. His breath hitched. His face went pale. The ID inside didn't just belong to some random black woman. It belonged to a federal prosecutor, a high-level federal prosecutor. The officer's hands started to shake as he read the name on the badge. The others leaned in, their eyes widening in horror. Silence hung in the air. Their casual arrogance had vanished. They had just broken into the car of one of the most powerful attorneys in the state, someone with the authority to destroy careers with a single phone call. The second officer started cursing under his breath. The third grabbed his radio but hesitated. What were they going to say? That they had illegally searched the vehicle of a federal official? That they had assumed, without cause, that a black woman's BMW must have been stolen? Panic set in. "Close it up! Close it up!" one of them hissed, shoving the folder back in place. Another wiped his prints off the door handle. They slammed the trunk shut, but it was already too late. Because someone had been watching. A bystander across the street had their phone up, recording every second of it. And inside the restaurant, the prosecutor was still oblivious to what was happening outside, until her phone vibrated. A notification popped up from her security app, a motion alert from her car's cameras. She frowned, tapping the screen. Then her blood ran cold. The live footage showed 3 officers rummaging through her vehicle. She shot up from her chair, heart pounding, grabbing her purse. As she stormed toward the door, the officers outside were already scrambling to make their exit. But as they turned to leave, she appeared on the sidewalk, her presence stopping them dead in their tracks. For a second, no one moved. Then, slowly, she pulled out her badge. "Step away from my car," she said, her voice calm but ice-cold. The officers' faces drained of color. One tried to stammer out an excuse, something about probable cause and suspicious behavior. But she didn't even let him finish. "You just broke into a federal prosecutor's car without a warrant. That's a felony." Dead silence. The officer closest to her swallowed hard. He looked to his partners, then back to her, searching for a way out of this. But there was none. And then, the sirens came. Another squad car pulled up fast, tires screeching. A superior officer stepped out, his expression unreadable. But when his gaze flicked to the prosecutor's ID, his mouth tightened. He knew. This wasn't just bad. This was career-ending. The officers fidgeted, waiting for their superior to defend them. Instead, the man exhaled sharply and turned to the prosecutor. "Ma'am, But she cut him off. "Save it," she said. "I'll be filing formal charges in the morning." The officers stiffened. This was worse than they'd imagined. And then she hit them with the final bombshell. "I already sent the footage to the Attorney General's office." Their world came crashing down. The prosecutor didn't say another word. She turned, got into her car, and drove off, leaving them standing there, their careers hanging by a thread. But what she didn't know was that this wasn't an accident. Someone wanted her targeted, and breaking into her car was just the beginning. The moment she drove away, she knew something was wrong. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she gripped the wheel, knuckles white. It wasn't just the break-in, it wasn't just the illegal search. It was the feeling. That gnawing, icy sensation creeping up her spine. This wasn't some routine racial profiling case gone too far. No, this was targeted, and whoever was behind it had made a crucial mistake. They underestimated her. She pulled into her high-rise apartment's underground garage, killing the engine. Her mind raced. The footage was already backed up in multiple places. She had emailed it to herself, sent it to a trusted journalist friend, and forwarded a copy to her office. But as she climbed out of the car, she noticed something. The hairs on her neck stood up. A black SUV was parked at the far end of the garage, its tinted windows blending into the shadows. It hadn't been there when she left. She swallowed hard. Was she being followed? No way. The footage had only gone out minutes ago. If someone were coming for her, it wouldn't be this fast, right? But as she took a step toward the elevator, the SUV's headlights flicked on. A cold chill ran down her spine. She wasn't imagining things. They were watching her. She made it into her apartment and locked the door, her breathing heavy. Her fingers flew over her phone, dialing a number she hadn't called in months. "Pick up, pick up, pick up," she muttered. On the fourth ring, a deep voice answered. "This is Agent Vaughn!" Relief flooded through her. "Vaughn, it's me," she said, barely above a whisper. "Something's happening. I know I was targeted tonight." A pause. Then his tone turned sharp. "Tell me everything." She did. Every detail. The cops. The search. The panic in their eyes when they found her ID. The mysterious SUV. When she finished, Vaughn exhaled. "Listen to me carefully. Lock your doors. Don't answer for anyone. I'm coming over." Her throat tightened. Vaughn wasn't just an FBI agent. He was an old friend. A former colleague from the days when she was a young prosecutor taking on corrupt cops and dirty politicians. If he was taking this seriously, then she wasn't just being paranoid. Something big was at play, and she was at the center of it. 15 minutes later, Vaughn arrived, his suit slightly disheveled, his expression grim. He didn't even wait for her to speak. He shut the door, locked it, and turned to her. "There's something you don't know," he said. She frowned. "What?" Vaughn pulled out his phone and scrolled through a set of classified documents. Then he handed it to her. Her stomach dropped. It was a sealed FBI investigation, one she had never seen before. And right at the center of it, the same police officers who had broken into her car. Her breath hitched. What is this?" "They're dirty," Vaughn said, his voice low. "They've been under investigation for months. Racketeering, drug trafficking, even murder. But here's the thing." He leveled his gaze at her. "You were never supposed to know." The room spun. This wasn't just random racial profiling. The cops weren't just acting on bias. They had recognized her. They had known who she was from the start. And the break-in? It wasn't about searching for drugs or weapons. It was about planting something. She sucked in a sharp breath. "Vaughn, tell me right now, what the hell were they trying to put in my car?" His jaw tightened. "Enough fentanyl to send you to prison for life." Her blood ran cold. They had tried to frame her. A federal prosecutor. It made sense now, why they panicked. Why they suddenly tried to wipe their prints. Why their superior officer had looked terrified when he arrived. Because it wasn't supposed to go down like that, She was supposed to be arrested, dragged into the system, silenced, and eliminated. She clutched the phone, staring at the damning files. "Who's behind this?" she whispered. Vaughn hesitated. "You already know the answer." She did. The corruption ran deep. This wasn't just a rogue group of officers. This was systemic, and that meant it went all the way to the top. Her mind raced. "We have to go public. We have to take them down." Vaughn's expression darkened. "It's not that simple." She stiffened. "Why not?" He hesitated, then pulled out his own phone. And when he showed her the screen, her stomach dropped, because it was a sealed warrant for her arrest. Her breath came out in a shaky gasp. "You've got to be kidding me." "Listen to me," Vaughn said, gripping her wrist. "They're moving fast. They realized they messed up by letting you go, and now they're making it official." His voice was urgent. "You have one chance to get ahead of this. We need to disappear, now." She shook her head. "Number, I'm not running. I'm fighting." Vaughn exhaled sharply. "I was hoping you'd say that." He reached into his pocket and handed her a burner phone. "There's someone you need to talk to," he said. "Someone higher up the chain." She took the phone and hesitated. Then slowly, she dialed. The line rang once, twice. Then a gruff voice answered. "This is Director Thompson." Her chest tightened. "The director of the FBI." She inhaled sharply. "Sir, I have reason to believe I've been set up." "I know." Her body went still. His voice was cold, almost mechanical. And then, he said something that made her blood turn to ice. "You should have taken the warning, counselor." The call disconnected. Her hands started to shake. Vaughn's face turned pale. "We need to leave. Now." But before they could even move, her apartment lights cut out. A single red laser dot appeared on her chest, then another, and another. From outside the window, Vaughn grabbed her arm. "Run!" Glass shattered, gunfire erupted, and everything went dark. The first shot shattered the living room window. The second missed her head by inches. Vaughn tackled her to the ground as more bullets ripped through the apartment, spraying glass and drywall across the room. They had come to kill her. No arrests, no setup, no trials, just elimination. Vaughn grabbed her wrist and pulled. "We have to move!" They crawled toward the hallway as the assault continued. The walls trembled with the force of the gunfire. Whoever was out there wasn't playing games. This wasn't some low-level hit. This was an execution squad, and they had orders to leave no witnesses. They reached the bedroom, Vaughn slamming the door shut behind them. He pulled his gun, pressing his back to the wall, his mind racing. She was gasping for breath, adrenaline flooding her system. "This is bad," she whispered. Vaughn's jaw clenched. "No kidding." The gunmen were moving fast. Heavy boots echoed in the hallway outside. The distinct click-clack of rifles being reloaded sent a chill through her spine. Vaughn's eyes darted to the fire escape, their only chance. "You trust me?" he asked. She swallowed, then nodded. Vaughn didn't hesitate. He kicked the window open, grabbed her hand, and jumped. They landed hard on the metal staircase, her ankle twisting painfully. But there was no time to stop. Above them, the masked assassins burst into the room. "Go!" Vaughn barked, pulling her forward. Bullets rained down as they tore down the fire escape. Sparks flew as rounds ricocheted off the metal rails. The moment they hit the ground, Vaughn yanked her toward a side alley. A black van screeched around the corner, blocking their escape. Trapped. She turned, heart pounding. The gunmen were closing in fast. No time, no options. Then, Vaughn fired first. The deafening crack of his Glock filled the alley. A gunman collapsed. The others ducked, returning fire. Vaughn grabbed her, dragging her behind a dumpster as bullets chewed through the brick walls. "We're not getting out of this," she gasped. Vaughn's face was set in stone. He tapped his earpiece, speaking fast. "Phoenix is compromised. Immediate extraction needed." Silence. Then, a voice crackled through. "Confirmed. Extraction in 90 seconds." She blinked. Extraction? "What the hell is going on?" she demanded. Vaughn turned to her, eyes burning. "I called in a favor." She had no time to ask what that meant, because at that moment, the assassins charged. Before the gunman could fire, a blacked-out SUV roared into the alley at full speed. The lead assassin barely had time to turn before... Boom! The SUV slammed into him, sending his body flying. The doors burst open, and black-clad operatives in tactical gear stormed out, weapons raised. Not cops, not FBI. These were ghosts. Private Black Ops. One of them grabbed her. "Ma'am, get in the vehicle, now!" She didn't argue. Vaughn covered her as they piled into the SUV, tires screeching. The last thing she saw was the gunmen scrambling to escape. Then the sound of a single suppressed shot, and silence. The doors slammed shut. The SUV peeled off. And just like that, they were gone. The safe house was deep in the city outskirts, disguised as a rundown auto shop. The moment they arrived, Vaughn led her into a back office. She whirled on him. "What the hell just happened? Who are these guys?" Vaughn exhaled. "They're off the books." Her stomach twisted. "You mean, they don't officially exist?" She swallowed hard. "And you just had them on speed dial?" Vaughn hesitated. Then finally he said it. "I wasn't just FBI." She blinked. "What?" "I was deep cover," he admitted. "I wasn't just investigating corruption. I was inside it. The reason I knew about those cops? It's because I worked a case linked to them years ago, and it went higher than anyone realized." She felt her knees weaken. "How high?" Vaughn stared at her. Then he handed her a file, a thick, classified folder. She hesitated, then opened it. Her breath caught in her throat. It wasn't just about the corrupt cops. It wasn't just about the hit squad sent to kill her. It was about an entire government cover-up, a secret network of police, politicians, and federal agents working together in the shadows, framing innocent people, eliminating threats, silencing anyone who got too close. And at the top of the file, a name she never expected to see. Her own boss, the U.S. Attorney General. The room spun. No, this couldn't be real. But Vaughn's eyes told her it was. She clenched her fists. "So they wanted me dead because I was getting too close." Vaughn nodded. "You were on a case that could have accidentally exposed them. The moment they saw your name on that car registration, they realized you weren't just some lawyer." She inhaled sharply. They had nearly destroyed her career, her life. But now she had the truth and the power to burn it all down. She turned to Vaughn, eyes blazing. "What's our next move?" He smiled darkly. "We go to war.